Hello, and thank you for joining us on this stormy Friday. I am Rolly Hoyt. Right now at noon, a missing pregnant woman and her baby both found dead. In 2 minutes, we're going to learn more about the couple that's been accused and the clue that led law enforcement right to them.
They say slow and steady wins the race. Now research shows a steady pace during training can help prevent injuries. I'm Bradley Blackburn with the health advice for marathon season.
And it's Friday, movies are on everybody's mind. Ticket sales are climbing right now to see the Lupita Nyong'o and her co-stars in the anticipated sequel to Black Panther. But did you know she's also got a new thriller on the way? We'll have details on that. But first, it could be a stormy day. That's why we've got Scott Covert waiting up with us here at noon. Let's get checked in on what we're expecting as we head into this afternoon and evening.
Really, we've been tracking this storm system really the last several days, and just in the last few moments, the Storm Prediction Center has actually upgraded our risk of seeing severe weather today, and we're talking about all types of severe weather. Damaging winds remains the most likely concern, the most likely hazard, but our tornado potential has actually increased as well. This is the latest severe weather outlook. Our focus remains southwestern Arkansas, places like Mena and Texarkana, but we've also moved that a little bit closer, places like Hot Springs, Arkadelphia, in that level 4 out of a potential 5 risk. We've also upgraded that hazard for the rest of the state as well. The timing of this remains this evening. If you have lunch plans, you're going to probably be in fine shape out there. Maybe a sprinkle or two, but most of the state is dry. We're all pretty warm. 70 degrees right now in the capital city. It's 73 in Clinton, 75 in Arkadelphia. If you've stepped outside this afternoon, you know those winds are just howling out of the south, upwards of about 16 miles per hour right now in Little Rock. Clinton and Batesville reporting gusts right near 20. We'll continue to see a warm and breezy afternoon. Those thunderstorms move in tonight. Severe weather is likely across parts of the state. Again, that main threat will be the wind, but that tornado potential exists. We'll track that as well as get an exact timeline of when you can expect the storms to roll into your hometown coming up in just a few moments.
Scott, thank you. With a forecast like that, right now is a good time to make sure you've got the THV11 app to stay updated on the weather. It has live radar. You can stream THV11 news if you lose power, while still being able to keep an eye out for watches and warnings coming your way. It's free to download in all the major app stores. All right, a THV11 update now. The Missouri couple accused of kidnapping and killing a Northwest Arkansas woman and her unborn child now facing new charges this afternoon. Law enforcement on both Missouri and Arkansas side of the border found 33-year-old Ashley Bush dead along with her baby.
Over my career, this is one of the most horrific cases that I have been personally involved with.
Husband and wife Amber and Jamie Waterman arrested on federal kidnapping charges earlier this week, and today those charges upgraded to murder. According to investigators, deputies and paramedics in southwestern Missouri stopped that couple on their way to the hospital and reported the newborn baby wasn't breathing. They later determined that Amber created a false persona online in order to meet Bush, kidnap her, and then kill her. Authorities say Amber was planning to claim Bush's child as her own.
This is just a reminder that there is evil in the world. People do evil things, and that someone would prey upon a pregnant woman, you know, at her most vulnerable state is unimaginable, but you know, unfortunately that's the world we live in.
Now the couple under arrest remains in federal custody this afternoon. Amber is charged with 1 count of kidnapping resulting in death. Her husband Jamie faces an accessory count. A lot that we are learning at this hour. We're going to get more developments as we go through the day, so stick with THV11 and THV11.com for the very latest. A North Little Rock man has been arrested by federal ATF agents in connection to more than a dozen fires in Pulaski County. Nathan Hester, accused of setting fires at 13 separate locations, including several homes, a church, and a pizza restaurant. People in Oak Grove, the Oak Grove area, had been on alert for several weeks, though we have confirmed that the fire at the Oak Grove Church of Christ was not one of these arsons. Faulty wiring blamed for that fire, which damaged the church's pantry. A widening project on a busy stretch of Rodney Parham could change the traffic landscape in that part of town. Problem is, it's damaged the actual landscape for several homeowners along the road. Crews are adding more traffic lanes along with sidewalks and bike lanes, but tire tracks from bulldozers replaced the yard decor that once stood in Billy Woods' yard. The widening is affecting her sprinkler system as well as cable and internet wiring. Her biggest question is how the city can expand the roadway right onto her property. Mike Hood, the civil engineer for the city, says it's all about frontage and easements. Private property doesn't begin at the edge of the street. It's actually 40 feet from the center line of the road, and that came as a surprise to Woods.
Of course I don't like it. Of course I'm upset about it. But actually, what can I do about it?
And by law, the city can claim that land whenever they want. If they use what's called eminent domain to take the land, they have to pay the owner. But since Woods planted on that area that they can claim, they won't compensate her for the lost lawn decor or shrubs. Early voting continues today, tomorrow, and Monday here in Arkansas, all leading up to Election Day itself. While across the nation, especially in battleground states, the scramble is on to convince voters, which, as Natalie Brand reports, are getting a barrage from the biggest names in politics.
It looked like 2020 on the campaign trail Thursday night, with President Biden and former President Trump holding dueling rallies for midterm candidates.
They're trying to suppress the right to vote and subvert entire elections.
We will stop the crime wave in Democrat-run cities. We will give our police the power they need and the respect they deserve.
With just 4 days to go, candidates are cramming in as many events as possible, especially in Pennsylvania, where the state's open Senate seat could help decide the balance of power in Washington. CBS News asked Democrat John Fetterman about some voters' concerns following his stroke in May.
I would say we have shown more and shared more kinds of medical evaluation, more than virtually anyone, unless you're running for the president.
Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz has focused his closing message on the economy and crime.
We have families all over the Commonwealth worried about crime, so much so they won't send their kids outside.
With control of Congress at stake, more than 35 million Americans have voted early, either by mail or in person, according to the United States Elections Project.
Democrats are feeling very encouraged by that because, you know, the larger the turnout, the better it is for Democrats.
Yeah. Republicans are touting increased diversity in their field of candidates, with 89 Black, Latino, Native American, and Asian House candidates.
There's a lot of significance about the Latino working class that is realigning, like the white working class in this country, and supporting more of a populist conservative message that they saw under Donald Trump.
Analysts say it will all come down to voter turnout as parties make their final pitches leading up to Tuesday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
And a thing hanging over all of these campaigns, at his rally in Iowa, Mr. Trump hinted that he will very likely run again for president in 2024. Locally, the NAACP has weighed in over the criticism aimed at Mayor Frank Scott Jr. and his office's handling of public records requests. Earlier this week, Pulaski County Prosecuting Attorney Larry Jegley sent a letter to Little Rock City Attorney asking him what is being done to resolve the Freedom of Information Act issues within Little Rock. Erroneous media reports said Jegley had opened an investigation, and that angered longtime civil rights leaders who say the fact that the issues even come up is a racially tinged attack on the city's first elected black mayor. Scott is running for a second term against retired car dealer Steve Landers, restaurateur Greg Henderson, and perennial candidate Glenn Schwartz. The nation's employers continue to keep the help wanted signs out, and the number of people getting hired continues to climb, but the pace is starting to slow. According to the latest jobs report for October, the economy added 261,000 jobs. The unemployment rate ticked up to 3.7% after hitting a record low in September. Average hourly pay rose 4.7%, and that's slightly behind the soaring rate of inflation. Tensions are escalating on the Korean Peninsula. North Korea tested dozens of missiles this week, including ICBMs, which can reach the United States. American Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said any nuclear attack on the U.S. or allies would end the North's regime. All of this causing some in South Korea to prepare for the worst. Ian Lee has the latest.
While many people plant a garden in their backyards, Lee Tae-gu built a bomb shelter. The South Korean professor of architecture worries someday the North's nuclear weapons could rain down on his country. There's material that can block heat and steel rods inside that reinforce the concrete against missile or bomb blasts, he says. It's not luxurious. A manual lever is needed to circulate fresh air. But Lee says his bunker can shelter 12 people for up to a month. It even has an escape hatch. Public shelters are far, and with the North just 60 miles away, he's concerned about biological or nuclear strikes. More than 17,000 bomb shelters dot South Korea, with more than 3,000 in the capital, Seoul alone. But many people in the countryside would struggle to get to one in time. Lee says he built the shelter as an example to others, adding that Koreans have easily forgotten about war and are not prepared. South Korean and American officials fear Pyongyang is preparing for another nuclear test. While in the past 24 hours, North Korean warplanes flew nearly 200 flights. The South responded by scrambling its own aircraft. This comes as South Korea and the U.S. conduct their largest ever air exercise, a move the North calls a dangerous and awful mistake. Ian Lee, CBS News.
And the joint American-South Korean air drills are due to end tomorrow, but so far there are no signs of any kind of diplomatic engagement that could offer a real solution to the current crisis. Training for marathons is tough, but it doesn't have to be. A new study challenges the intense nature of training methods for runners. We will have the details when the news at noon returns.
Severe weather likely this evening. I've got the very latest timing and the upgraded severe weather potential risk coming up when Wake Up Central. This is THB 11 News at noon. Whenever this show returns, coming right up.